A lot of times when we're working with web artwork, we need to make images wider and oftentimes even shorter. Doing so can be a challenge because when we stretch an image, the image will often get distorted. Let's demonstrate with the file called Chapter 2 Content Aware Scale.psd. You can also open the file called Chapter 2 Content Aware Fill.psd and set that one aside. We'll be looking at that shortly. We can stretch the content of a layer by using the free transform tool. First of all, we need to select the entire layer. You can do that by first selecting your layer that you're interested in, and then use Control-A on a Windows computer or Command-A on a Macintosh. This will select the entire layer. Now we can transform the layer by using our layer transformation tools. To let Photoshop know that we want to transform our layer and not the selection, choose the Layer Move tool here. From our control bar, we can turn on the transform controls. Now we can make it content-aware scale. Photoshop will automatically select the image that's available on the layer and present us with these handles. First, let's make the image shorter and see what happens. Click the top handle and drag it down. Now wait a minute. Let's try that again. Let's make it taller. Look right here. Watch that pole. Photoshop figured out that the pole is something that it can make smaller, as well as the sky. Let's continue to make it shorter and see what happens. Can you see how the buildings are getting shorter, but the person is staying rock steady? These planters are slightly getting shorter. What's happening here is that Photoshop is examining the image for the content of the image and is allowing us to shrink the parts that it deems are less important than the objects that it can identify as being objects in the image. Let's make it wider and see what happens. You'll notice that something went wrong. Photoshop knew that this column should stay steady, but it could not identify the bottom half of the column, and so it's become quite distorted. You can also see because of that, over here we're seeing some pretty bad distortion. It turns out that I can use a selection to protect areas in the image. What I've done previously is to make a selection and save it under the name Pole. Up here you'll see Protect, and I'd like to protect the selection called Pole and see the difference. Now you can see that the pole maintains its shape. We still have some issues with the buildings, however, but the stretch isn't that bad. Let's make the image a little bit taller and see how we recover some of the pole. Great. Now I've got an image that's wider and taller, and I didn't have to do a whole lot of Photoshop magic to make it happen. In fact, Photoshop did all the magic for me. Hit Enter or click this check mark to commit the transformation. Now the pixels have actually been adjusted and we have our changed image. If I decided that I didn't like this over here, then I could crop it out, or I could go back to the original by simply choosing Undo, and perhaps make another selection to protect that area. Let's see how we can use this content-aware technology to fill in areas as well. Photoshop contains some really amazing new technology that allows it to look at the entire image and fill in areas with content from other parts of the image. Under the Edit menu, choose Fill. Under Contents, you'll see Content Aware. You could also choose the foreground color or the background color, and these are indicated over here. You could also pick a specific color there. You could choose a pattern, you could use fill areas from the history of the image, but in our case, we really want to use Content Aware. Just click OK to see the results. Let's zoom out to get a better look at what's gone on here. Let's use Control-0 on your Windows computer or Command-0 on your Macintosh. We can deselect with Select deselect all of these people. And I can do that with my rectangular marquee tool and hold down my Option key or my Alt key. I can click up here and then click and drag, and this will remove these people from my selection. Now I'd like to make that a little bit bigger, and I can do this under my Select menu and choose Modify and Expand. I can expand my selection by using my sliding wheel on my mouse, that's what I'm doing right now, or I can type in a value. So let's say we expand it by 3 pixels, and OK. Great. Now let's use Content Aware Fill one more time. Edit, Fill, and Content Aware, and then click OK. Let's deselect and see that he's gone. Again, if I didn't know that he had been there already, this is a very convincing deletion. Content Aware Fill and Content Aware Scale represent some tremendous time-saving capabilities that Photoshop CS5 brings to our desktops. You can save and close your images now.